Geraldo and I were talking about the creative process, creativity. Really, we were talking about art and how style is such a driving force behind strength, but specifically the creative process in being an educator and not a big quotes influencer.
Yeah.
And there's so many people, and even Geraldo, I just yesterday there was a study. I didn't get to read the study. The government did, well, university, but the government also backed it for young people, some of the hazards of social media. Now, when I was a kid, they were saying watching too much television hazards. And yes, there's always been with being distracted, if you will, or living in a distracted reality, sort of unreality. But just share with us a little bit, share with everyone what we've been talking about and really your passion and the idea of that creative process of being an educator, not
There,
just
there's,
yeah.
I've always felt there's a big difference between an influencer and an educator. The influencer is, the Jake Pauls or the Paris Hiltons, and it's like, hey, I wore, I'm this and I do this, buy this, or I'm supporting this, wear this, push this. I don't want to push a particular project or product at you. That's the influencer. The educator is the person that gives you the best possible decisions. I want to educate you on buying what it is that you're looking for. I want to educate you on the things that you are interested in. With my fitness background, with my experiences with extreme sports and my world in TV, there's a lot of things that I was taught where you can literally subliminally lead people towards certain things, and you do it in a blind manner. And I don't want people to start feeling that they're just a sheep, and they're basically following the herd. um my job as an educator is to open those eyes. My job as an educator is to explain what the differences are. I mean, you and I have had an hour length conversation about the black t-shirt. Every woman talks about the basic black dress. For the guy, it's a black t-shirt. I can give you 5 black different t-shirts. Each one will have a different style, different feel, different, how does it wear? How does it hang? Is it boxy? Is it tight? Is it fit? Does it make my arms look bigger? Will it make my chest look smaller? You know, a black shirt is just a black shirt. No, it's not. And there are certain things that come with that feature, that style. Same thing with anything across the board. And the cool part about what you and I do is, we educate them. We explain, you know, we can go Freud sometimes. A cigar is just a cigar. I get that part. But there's a lot where we'll sit down and we'll just say, here are the pieces, here are the elements. I want you to make your best decision of what we're feeding you, of what we're presenting to you, what works best, but not only what works best, but what works best specifically for you. There are outcomes where a decision by you may be separate from someone else based on what it is that you're looking for. I've had tons of consultants where I would present certain avenues or options, and they would literally say, the overall consensus is A, but I really like B because. And if it gears or leans towards a more personal matter, then I think that you've found what your answer is. Again, I don't want to force you with what the answer is. I want you to make the educated decision that you made that answer. I never would want to hear someone say, well, you said to try this. I don't want that blame. And I know blame is the wrong word to use, but I don't want it to be a thing where I still want the client, I still want the candidate, I still want them to take ownership. I don't want them to feel that they're being led somewhere. The knowing that you have the options, knowing that you have the education to make the options, knowing that you have the final decision to make the options makes your decision the right decision. And with everything that we work on and with everything that we do, that's one of the things that I really feel should stand out the most.
it and it's something I so admire, and it's still, it, you know, in a sense, or although it's a challenge in this age, but the wonderful thing is you've had experiences working in the media, real media, television, network, uh still even well, I'm going to let you, we'll talk about it next time, but even a project that's being announced uh, uh very soon right now, uh
In 4 days.
okay, 4 days, there you go. uh you know, you understand what goes on there's uh um when there's the ability to influence, and then yeah, there's also the fluff and the cotton candy of television and so forth. But when something hits or makes people stop and say, hmm, gotta think about that. I know you and I both revel in that, and
You
finding that
you
balance.
you and I have the this or that aspect, and I always thought you and I should do a show together called "Consider This," because every time you and I start a conversation, it literally goes, "Consider this." And I said that and I laughed at that one morning because every time you and I start a conversation, it's literally like, consider this.
Yep.
You
And
know,
it's the
it's like,
respect that, you know what, that's also, I think it's a form of respect to say to people, consider this. You know, not, okay, take this, you must do this, take this supplement, do this exercise, um, wake up and look at the sun sideways at 6 a.m. to, I, and I've heard someone talking about that. I won't even get into all that. To wake up, you know, neuroscience, it's, it's, consider this. And, but the exciting thing is, it's with us, we love this stuff. Nobody can deny our
there's
passion for this
no,
stuff.
no, there's the passion and everything behind it. It's just like what we were
Right.
saying before. I want to present the most viable options for you. And then within those options, you sit down and make the best decision. But we will say, consider this. What are you looking for in what it is you're trying to do? What is your max expectation out of this? From that expectation, how fast do you expect to get there? Depending on how fast you expect to get there, these are the steps you're going to need to figure out along the way. Everything has a tree. Like
Yep.
you and I have been big on organizations and trees, and you know, having that end goal, it's like, okay, if this is your end goal, this is your end date, let's walk it back. No different than when you and I had trained for any type of show or competition. If it was 16 weeks out, we had checkpoints.
Yep.
If this is the end date by week, you know, if 16 weeks out, by week 14 we should be here, by week 12 we should be here, by week 8, if this is the halfway point, we should already be within a certain area within that halfway point. And if we're not there, we're in a lot of trouble. But and it it puts accountability on the table. It also puts you not procrastinating on the table too, because there is no tomorrow, because you can't make up in 8 weeks in 8 weeks. Like you're either doing it or you're not.
Yep.
And you know, that's kind of it, putting that discipline, putting that structure, putting those things into play helps with a lot of those things that you and I work on and present to clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this, I think we just put a lot out for people to consider today and think about, and join in the conversation with Geraldo on Instagram, myself, both of us. And
Consider this. Join us
and
for a
that's
conversation
gonna
with Dr.
say,
Jack with a cup of coffee, and we gotta just go from there.
consider this. There we go.
Consider this.
Geraldo, thank you so much, my friend.
Great talking to you again, Dr. Jack.